Happy Monday. Welcome to tonight's Simply Her class. I'm April Ficklin. I am excited to get started and share a whole lot of great things tonight for you guys. This is kind of a chat for us girls, and so I want to give everyone a second to jump in. While I do that, I am going to share the link to the video, and I'll put it in the comments if you guys want to share it as well. It is public, so you can share it on your timeline. And I want to be able to do that. So, happy Monday. Oops, it's playing for me. All right. Welcome. So I see some of you are jumping in. Hey, yay, you're saying hey. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Angie. Hey, Megan. Hey, Paula. You guys tell me where you're watching from. Hey, Lisa, tell me where you're watching from, and we're going to get started in just a second. I am just sharing our video on my timeline and in my group, and then we'll get started. So this is one of my absolute favorite classes to teach, so I'm glad that you guys are able to join in live tonight. This is a note-taking worthy class. Going to throw a whole lot of information at you, so you might want a place to jot down some ideas as we get started. So I am April. As I mentioned, I am teaching here from my home in South Carolina, and I'm excited that you guys are joining in. Thank you for being patient. I am taking the link, and hey, Cheryl. Hey, who else am I seeing? April. I'm sharing the link here in the comments. If you guys want to share it, you're welcome to do that. It also has the link to the book I'll be teaching out of, which is a little booklet called Simply Her that I put together this past summer. So, all right. I'm going to drop this one or two more places, and then we're going to jump right in. Again, if you're just jumping in, make sure you say hello, tell us where you're watching from, and grab something to take notes on, because you're going to want to take some notes. All right. The link of the video is in the comments. If you want to share that out, you're welcome to do that. And I'm going to share it one more place, and then we're jumping right in, guys. Sometimes my computer is slower than I want it to be. All right. Who else is joining us? Hey, Karina and Brenda. Super excited you guys are all watching live with us. I know sometimes evenings can be hard and busy, especially for mamas. So, all right. If you're jumping in, watching, and you haven't said hello, please make sure you do, so I know that I'm not here alone, and we are going to jump right in to this Simply Her book. So let me give you a little bit of background about this class and this little booklet. There is a link in the comments for the oil supply store if you want to grab one of these. And if you're already a Young Living member and you have a Young Living team, this is a great thing to have for your members. And so we're going to be using it to teach our class tonight. So a couple of you, well, almost 5 years ago, my family grew from a family of 4 to a family of 6 through adoption. And so overnight, I went from a mama of 2 school-age kids to a mama of 4 school-age kids. And needless to say, it was a little bit chaotic and a whole lot of stressful for actually several years. And so a couple of years ago, I really realized that something wasn't quite right with me. I was, oh, I'm so glad you have it. Awesome. I was getting super exhausted by dinner time. I was dealing with anxiety, which was not normal for me. I was, what else was happening? All kinds of just things were off, okay? And I could tell my hormones were getting wonky. Something just was not quite right. And so I began to learn about prolonged stress And I think most of my life I had just thought of stress as something that was emotional and had not really thought about the physical way that it can affect our bodies. And I started to learn about adrenal fatigue. And as soon as I heard the definition or the description of this adrenal fatigue, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm pretty sure that's me. And so that began my journey for really finding some great hormonal balance. And so I am not a doctor or a medical professional. I'm just a mama who has been on her own journey to find some great hormonal balance so that I can find myself again, feel like myself again, and have the energy to take care of my family. And so I have found lots of great success with lots of natural options for balancing my hormones. One of the things that I suggest before we jump into these natural options, though, is to get some diagnostics done. So if you've never had if you feel like, as we talk tonight, that maybe your hormones are a little off, go get some hormone testing, particularly if you can do it from a functional doctor or a naturopath, or I use an integrative doctor in the area, someone who is going to be a holistic and naturally minded, and they're going to be able to do a full hormone panel for you and sit down with you and walk through that. Your OBGYN will likely not. I actually went to my OBGYN about a year and a half, a little more, maybe a year and a quarter ago, and I was like, look, things aren't right, and I know they're not right. And so they did testing, and all the tests came back normal, but I knew things weren't normal. And so what this class is all about, and what this booklet is all about, is for us women not to accept this idea that just because things are typical, just because other people are having the same issues, doesn't make them normal. It doesn't mean that that is how our body is designed to be. And it doesn't mean that we can't be healthier. Before I got started with natural products, I thought that I just had to give in to the things that were happening to my body because I was getting older. And that's just not the truth. The truth is I just wasn't taking the best care of my body. And once I knew how to do that, I haven't been able to keep my mouth shut, because I want you guys to know that we can be our healthiest. I'm 42, and I want to be healthier at 50 than I am at 42. That's my goal. And so it doesn't have to do with age. It has to do with how we are best taking care of our bodies and making sure that we are not giving in to toxins and stressors and things that are going to deplete the way the body is designed to work. So we're going to be talking all about hormones tonight, and that means we're going to be jumping right in to the endocrine system. Now, when I was back in school, science was not my favorite thing, okay? But I'm pretty sure we never learned about the endocrine system. We learned about cardiovascular system, muscular system, but I never remember hearing specifically this term endocrine system. But the endocrine system is the system, the parts of your body, particularly glands often, that secrete hormones. And when we think of the word hormone, most of the time we jump right to our reproductive system, like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, those things. But those aren't the only hormones in our body. And all of the hormones are interconnected. And so I ended up, because I had issues with my adrenals, I ended up having issues with my reproductive system as well, even though that's not where it started. And so it's important to understand the entire endocrine system to know how to best take care of your female body, okay? And so we're going to start all the way up here in the brain today, and we're going to go through that endocrine system together. We're going to talk through several parts of it, how they work, what hormones they make, and how you can kind of tell if this is an issue for you and how to feel better. So I'm going to be teaching out of Simply Her. If you have jumped in and you haven't said hi, tell us where you're learning from, and we're going to jump in to the nitty-gritty about the endocrine system. Now, as I find my page, in the comments, this is going to be some audience participation, okay? So in the comments, I want you to do something for me. And this is going to help me know how to best follow through with you after we're done to get you some more education if you want it. And that is, if you are already a Young Living member, because we're going to be talking about a lot of Young Living products. If you're already a Young Living member, give me a heart in the comments. Okay, so let me start seeing those. If you're already a Young Living member, give me a heart in the comments. I'm glad you're learning with us. If you're not yet a Young Living member, I'm so glad that you jumped in and you're curious and learning, and I want to be able to help point you to some more resources, because education is for sure my jam. So give me a smiley. If you're not yet a Young Living member, give me a smiley in the comments. So let me see your hearts and your smileys in the comments as we jump into this endocrine system. Now, we're going to start here in the brain with the hypothalamus. Hey, Debbie. And the pituitary gland, okay? So they are here in the front part of your brain in the limbic system here. And our first stop is going to be the hypothalamus. When we talk about the hypothalamus, I want you to think of the word emotions. Hypothalamus, emotions, okay? So the hypothalamus is kind of the supervisor of the body and the beginning points of all the other systems throughout the body, especially in the endocrine system. It serves to keep a balance in the nervous system, from regulating metabolism and weight to salt and water intake to our sex drives. All of those start right here in the hypothalamus. This part of the body creates a peaceful homeostasis, kind of gets everything in balance so that our body can work the way that it's supposed to. It is a part of the limbic system. The limbic system of the brain is where we get a gut feeling. It's where our emotions are stored and dealt with in the brain, both good emotions and traumatic ones, good experiences and traumatic ones, as well as memories. And it connects all of those to the organs in our body through our nervous system. Okay, so the limbic system of the brain is the part of the brain that if you have a smell that takes you right back to a memory, this is the part that clicks, okay? For me, it is a 37-year-old memory when I was 5 years old, and my parents let me ride the morning school bus with my older cousin, and we were standing at the bus stop, and at the bus stop was honeysuckle. So anytime I smell honeysuckle, it takes me right back to being that little 5-year-old excited about riding the school bus. It wasn't like some super huge memory, but it's one that's really old and has stuck in my brain. And so it shows us that there really is a very strong connection between the sense of smell and our memories, right? And our emotions and our brain. So that's really important for us to remember. So in fact, if I opened a bottle of one of my favorite oils, maybe jasmine, okay, I don't have jasmine here, what do I have? Harmony, okay? If I open this and I just put it right under my nose, I don't even have to take a big whiff. I just put it right under my nose. Within seconds, molecules of that essential oil will be found in my brain because they are so teeny tiny and fat soluble, they're able to pass through the blood-brain barrier right to that limbic system and start having a big effect, okay? Unlike most of the other senses, smell travels immediately to parts of the brain that control our feelings. Therefore, aromatherapy is very effective in helping us balance our emotions because of that connection between the smell and the hypothalamus. So, if you feel like your emotions are a little out of whack and you have no control over them, consider giving your hypothalamus a little extra care, okay? And that means you're going to be using aromatherapy consistently. That means you're going to be pulling out your diffuser. You're going to be sniffing your oils. You're going to be putting them in the palms of your hands. It's one of my favorite things to do. This is my valor, okay? One of my favorite things to do is put a drop in the palm of my hands, rub them together, and that can have a great effect on my emotional balance, okay? Now, you want to do it consistently. You want to do it every day, but it can help support that hypothalamus. So here are some great options for helping you release negative emotions or memories and work toward balance. Frankincense, which is full of a constituent called sesquiterpenes, which are great for the brain, okay? Frankincense helps ground your emotions and helps stimulate the brain. Lemon is mood lifting. So you can have a shift in those grumpies. You can change that with something like lemon. Stress away. Blend is calming and uplifting. Joy is perfect for moments of sadness or depression. Valor, that I just showed you, is great for a boost of confidence during times of transition. It's a great one in the time that we're living in now that seems like so crazy, right? Orange helps increase feelings of happiness and contentment. So those are all great options for helping stimulate your hypothalamus, balance your emotions so that you can feel much more stable. A happy hypothalamus is going to mean a healthier emotional life. All right, hypothalamus. The second part of that little limbic system right next to the hypothalamus in the brain is called the pituitary gland, okay? So hypothalamus emotions. When we think of the pituitary gland, I want you to think of the word energy. Okay? Whew. This was the trigger for me. Like, I've never been the girl with lots of energy. I've always needed a nap. I've always loved my sleep. And so I'm always looking for ways to help figure out how my body can have more energy. Okay, so I often say that I'm no longer jealous of all the girls with the good looks or the flat bellies. It's the ones with the energy that I'm jealous of. Okay, so we need to pay attention. If you can understand what I'm saying, if that's you, we need to pay attention to the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland can be found in your brain right under that hypothalamus. It's considered the master gland, but takes orders for hormone secretion and nerve signals from the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is kind of the boss, okay? It then steps up to help regulate all the other parts of the endocrine system. The thyroid, the adrenals, the reproductive system, the things that we're going to talk about as we go along. The health of all your other glands relies on this particular gland, the pituitary gland. If it is not secreting hormones properly, the right time, the right amount, then the rest of your body will also suffer. So supporting it at the beginning is super important. The well-being of your pituitary gland is vitally important and can make a huge difference in how your entire body operates. So maintaining our brain health helps everything else fall into place. So here are some hints that your body might be giving you if you need support in your pituitary gland. If you're dealing with migraines, fatigue, then your pituitary gland might need some support. Those are two kind of telltale signs, okay? So we're gonna start with the consistent use of 2 oils on a daily basis. If you feel like your pituitary gland needs to be supported, you're gonna go grab your frankincense and your lavender. So Doctors Leanne and David Dearduff are 2 chiropractors that wrote a great book called Taming the Dragon Within, which was my resource that I really went to a whole lot when I was trying to sort these things out for myself. And I learned a lot from them to kind of gather together a lot of the information that I have in this booklet. And they suggest that if you're supporting your pituitary gland, you take a drop of frankincense and a drop of lavender, you put it to the roof of your mouth, in that soft tissue that gets into that blood system fast. And you do this 4 to 5 times a day. Again, consistency is super important. And you're able to get those oils into your bloodstream several times a day to help support the pituitary gland. Now, if you've tried that for a few weeks and you still don't feel like you are getting the results that you want, then you can kind of amp it up and you're going to change out the oils. You can also try sacred frankincense and Idaho brand fir. Okay, so you can change those 2 and try those on the roof of your mouth, same way, 4 to 5 times a day. No matter which oils you choose to use, you also need to supplement with an effective fish oil containing fatty acids vital to your brain development so that they can help support that pituitary gland and maintenance of your entire brain, okay? So omega-3s help synthesize hormones, play an important role in the entire endocrine system. And for us, with Young Living, that supplement that we want is Omega-Gize, okay? And this one will come up again as we continue to talk. Omega-Gize is great for a whole lot of reasons, but it has those fatty acids and those omega-3s that we talked about that are necessary for proper brain health. This blend of oils and other ingredients that make up Omega-Gize is full of antioxidants, fatty acids, vitamin D, clove oil, and Roman chamomile that all help nourish the brain with high quality ingredients that we know and love that Young Living always uses, right? So if you are adding a regimen of oils like frankincense and lavender or sacred frank and balsam green fir, Idaho grand fir, and you're adding on your Omega-Gize, you will likely say goodbye to your afternoon sluggishness, okay? You're going to be able to find some support. Okay, so let's stop for just a second. We've talked about the brain. We're going to talk about one more part of the brain. Actually, let me talk about this one, and then we're going to talk about some audience participation again. You're going to tell me which of these parts of the brain do you feel like you need the most support. But let me do the third one really quick. The third one is the pineal gland. It's kind of like in the middle of the brain, and it is associated with sleep. Hypothalamus is energy, pituitary gland, I messed y'all up. Hypothalamus is emotions, Pituitary gland is energy. Pineal gland is sleep. Okay? So since we're talking about energy, now let's talk about another part of that endocrine system that is going to help you have the right kind of energy during the day, and that is the pineal gland that will help you get sleep. Do you guys need to sleep a little deeper? Do you need to wake up feeling more rested? That all could be a part of needing support for the pineal gland. Now, there's a lot of mystery that still surrounds this part of the brain. They're still researching it and don't quite understand all about the pineal gland, but they do know that it affects our night's sleep because it regulates the secretion of melatonin. Now, what's great about knowing this, okay, and knowing how to support the pineal gland is that we don't want to have to take like a outside melatonin for a long period of time because our brain becomes kind of addicted to it and won't make its own melatonin. What we want to do is support the brain in a way that it will make its own melatonin, right? And so we want to support the pineal gland so that it will make that melatonin and we can get a good night's sleep. Often our nights are bombarded with things that prevent the normal release of this sleep hormone. Things like our cell phone blue lights, irregular sleep patterns, stress, all kinds of things can be keeping us up. So supporting the pineal gland is important for supporting melatonin, important for our sleep, right? So if you feel like you need some real rest, and this is a problem for you, turn to your oils that are high in sesquiterpenes, things like cedarwood, which stimulates the pineal gland, sandalwood, or frankincense. Put those in your diffuser at night so that you can be breathing them in. A lot of people like to even rub them right in between the eyes. But cedarwood, sandalwood, and frankincense are all high in sesquiterpenes. They're going to make a great impact on the brain and be able to help that pineal gland make the melatonin that it needs. All right? So here's our audience participation. Drop in the comments, which do you need to support? From what you've heard so far, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland. Which one seems to be the one that you need? Do you need emotional balance, more energy, better sleep? All right. As you guys drop that, we're going to keep moving along in the endocrine system. We're going to be working our way down the body, okay? So we've talked about the brain and several parts of the brain that are important for hormone support, okay? So now we're going to move down to the thyroid. And we know that this is an important topic for a lot of people, and not just women. I thought for a long time that it was primarily women who struggled with thyroid problems. But actually talking to a nurse who told me that actually many of the records that she sees come across her desk of men often also have thyroid issues. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what to do if you feel like thyroid needs support. All right, I see you guys need some cedar wood, right? Need some cedar wood to get that good sleep. I will throw this in there. Another product that Young Living has, it's not in the booklet, but because I don't even know it was available when I made the booklet, is Unwind. I don't know if any of you guys have tried Unwind. It is a magnesium supplement, and I love it. It's designed for kids, but I use it, and I love it. All right, thyroid. All right, so hypothalamus was emotions, remember? Pituitary gland was energy, and pineal gland was sleep. And now thyroid, I want you to think about metabolism, okay? How many times have we thought, well, my metabolism sure isn't what it used to be? Have you guys ever had that? Especially if you are like me and you've hit your 40s, right? And you keep thinking back to what it was like when you were 25 and could eat what you wanted, and it didn't seem to make much of a difference. It's easy to get caught up in thinking that simply because we're getting older, we're more likely to be sickly or have less energy or gain weight mysteriously. But if we stay in tune with our bodies, a lot of that is not true. A lot of that we have more control over than we think that we do. So as we travel down the body from the brain, we'll explore the health of our thyroid. So many of us don't realize that thyroid issues are very common for both men and women. So common, in fact, that we often mistake typical, I mentioned this earlier, for normal, okay? In fact, when you guys get lab work done, if you get your thyroid tested and your doctor comes back and tells you that it's normal, what it probably is typical. You're being compared to other people who've gotten their thyroid tested, and so you're being compared to people who may not actually have a very healthy functioning thyroid, but maybe it's not as bad as others. It doesn't mean it is normal. It doesn't mean your thyroid is working as it should. And that's one of the reasons I encourage you to dig a little deeper in your hormone testing to figure out really what's going on with your body. Okay? Paying attention to the signs and giving this part of the endocrine system attention is important for most of us and will sometimes mean being diligent with self-education, okay? Because you may not get all the answers you want and you might have to dig a little deeper. The thyroid secretes hormones to boost our metabolism in virtually every cell of the body. And that's important because if it's not working properly, we get telltale signs like fatigue and weight changes and depression. Those were definitely some things that were on my radar when I realized there was some wonkiness with my hormones, right? So when the thyroid is not properly sending out its hormone, thyroxine, the other parts of the endocrine system start to suffer as well. So we can pull out some powerful support if we feel like it's our thyroid that needs help. And one of the things that we start with first is the blend called Endoflex. Okay, Endoflex smells a little bit like spearmint. It's a blend of several oils that's designed specifically to support the entire endocrine system. But it is fantastic to roll right over your thyroid every single morning or every single evening to support the function of that thyroid. It is a great first place to start. It helps maintain the whole endocrine system. Now, if you need a little extra support for your thyroid, myrtle, which is a ingredient in Endoflex, you might want to add extra myrtle to your regimen every day, as well as lemongrass. So those are two oils great to utilize topically over your thyroid every day, in addition to the Endoflex, so that you can get that support for your thyroid. Young Living also has an oil-infused supplement that we love called Thiamine. It's perfect for helping maintain a properly functioning thyroid. For best results, you want to use Thiamine every single night to get that great nutritional support that it offers with its ingredients. And hopefully that's going to help your thyroid be able to give the correct secretions of thyroxine for your whole body. Okay? When we intentionally care for our thyroid, we can work towards what's actually normal and refuse to be typical. Now, as I mentioned early on, again, I highly encourage you to talk to a practitioner who will be able to walk you through what your body in particular can use the most. Okay? All right. Hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid. Now we're working our way down here to our lower back, and this is where our adrenal glands are, and this is where my journey started as I began to learn about what stress does to the body and how our adrenal glands work, okay? So that was the beginning of my story. Many people are unaware when their adrenal glands are struggling. But taking care of this part of the body and making sure that we can eliminate any stress as possible makes a huge difference in our overall health. In fact, my adrenal gland problems began to spiral and then cause problems with my estrogen and progesterone levels and things like that. And that's one of the reasons I started feeling so crummy, is because it had this domino effect that started from my stress several years ago. So if you have lived in prolonged stress at any point, or if you're living in it now, and it can be a lot of things. It can be a really stressful parenting season. It can be a health issue. It can be that you're taking care of aging parents. It can be your job. But we're not meant to live in prolonged stress, and so it can wreak havoc on our bodies. The adrenal glands produce epinephrine that gives the body energy when it needs to act quickly and with intentionality. So have you guys ever heard of like someone being able to pick up a car after a car accident? That's the adrenaline and the epinephrine going through the body. It's that fight or flight hormone that's crucial when we're in an emergency and prepares the body for us to act. So it increases our heart rate. It slows the activity of the digestive system so that the body can focus on other parts to get the energy that we need in the moment. And it gets the body ready for action. The stress hormone cortisol is created at the same time and breaks down stored protein, turning it into glucose really rapidly so that our body can use it for these stressful situations. These are all helpful things. These are all things we need when we're in an emergency. The problem is a lot of us live in a way that our body thinks we're in an emergency all the time. And so over time, we stay stressed out too much for too long, and we start to have physical effects. When the body has excessive cortisol, it affects the body's immune system, so you're more likely to get sick. It encourages weight gain, because remember, it was turning that protein into sugars, and it leaves us feeling exhausted. A good sign that your adrenal glands need a little extra care is if you're feeling feelings of energy, like you have a boost of energy that's followed by extreme fatigue. So if you were able to get through like a really tough project at work, but like you were absolutely done when you get home and you like cannot hardly function, or for me, it was like really stressful moments of parenting, and then I would need a nap. Like it was one extreme or the other. So I was amped up and then I crashed, and that was a telltale sign that I was having trouble with my adrenals. And what eventually happened is my body was making too much cortisol at night, and I was up in the middle of the night with lots of anxiety and not being able to sleep. And then it was not making enough cortisol in the day, just the normal amounts. And after I had been stressed out for too long. And so I was super tired. So that was what the eventual results were of my stress. So in order to maintain healthy adrenal glands, you want to be using a few essential oils. So oils that help us de-stress emotionally are a great place to start. Things like Stress Away, Peace and Calming can naturally calm the nervous system and allow us to take breaks from the cycle of stress that begins in our body. In fact, did you guys know that, Chelsea, this will be in the events, so it'll stick around. If someone else wants to watch it, they may need to click going tonight so that they can see it later. But it should be there still. When you stay stressed or stay in anxiety for long periods of time, over a time, it will actually create this cycle in your body, and it can change your DNA. And so it's able to be healed, but the fact that prolonged stress and prolonged anxiety can change our DNA should be encouragement for us to change things the best that we can and support our body so that that doesn't happen. We want to break that cycle so that we can stay healthy, and that anxiety doesn't become part of our identity, right? So once we feel like this part of the body really needs extra focus, and maybe our Stress Away and Peace and Calming just aren't cutting it anymore, we're going to have to amp it up. We want to use things like thieves because of the clove in it are great for the adrenal glands. Nutmeg, Endoflex, and Energy Blend are all great to promote healthier function. For example, rubbing 1 drop of nutmeg on the lower back or a drop of Energy on the crown of your head is a great way to easily support the adrenal glands. We can also give our endocrine system an extra care from the inside out. So we can use our oils on a daily basis, several times a day, but we also can add in some great supplements that will help support those adrenal glands. One of the supplements I try to never miss out on is my Super B. Okay, so those B vitamins help balance stress hormones and increase my energy levels. Omega Gize is also really good for your adrenal glands. We mentioned it earlier in supporting our brain. The omega-3s help reduce the body's response to stress and lowers our cortisol and epinephrine levels. And then Mineral Essence, which is a tincture that Young Living has, aids in calming the body to give your adrenals a chance to heal and to work well. Now, they can heal if you are having adrenal fatigue, but over time, if you don't take care of healing your adrenals, they eventually will stop functioning properly. And so it really is something that you need to be thinking of as you're dealing with the stress in your life. Now, we have to learn to say no a little more often sometimes to be able to take care of those things, but sometimes there are seasons of stress we simply can't control. And when those things creep in, we need to create a great regimen of natural products to help support those adrenals, okay? All right. So we've worked our way from the brain down to the lower back. Hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid, and our adrenal glands. And so now we're here at the reproductive system, at the part of the body that when we hear the word hormone, this is kind of where our brain goes first, right? Okay. But all the things that we've been talking about are very closely related. So just because you feel like your hormones are wonky doesn't mean it's just your reproductive. So you need to be supporting the entire body. In the United States, we are often bombarded with toxic products on and around us on a daily basis. Products with ingredients that are often disrupting to our entire endocrine system, particularly to our reproductive organs and hormones. Women in particular are exposed to hundreds of harsh ingredients even before we leave our homes in the morning. We've got our lotions, we've got our shampoos, we've got our conditioners, we have our hairsprays, we have our makeup, we have our moisturizers, right? We might have our nail polish. We might use air freshener in our homes. Like, we are bombarded with these ingredients that often have what are considered estrogen mimicking chemicals in them. They're in our personal care products, they're in our cleaning products, and what they do is create too much estrogen in the body and lower our progesterone levels. And we know that high estrogen makes us susceptible to lots of big, bad, ugly things. Breast cancer, other hormone cancers like ovarian cancer, as well as it makes girls go through puberty at earlier ages, boys go through puberty at later ages. It makes us more susceptible to PMS symptoms and menopausal symptoms that are not typical and not normal at all, or that maybe are typical but aren't normal. Okay, and so when we're feeling a little out of balance, we're feeling a little off, it may be that our estrogen levels have been affected by the toxins around us. Now, progesterone is vitally important for all ages of women, and it's produced in the ovaries, the adrenal glands, and the placenta, as well as stored in fat tissue throughout the body. For young women in their childbearing years to postmenopausal women, everybody needs proper progesterone levels. Okay, it's crucial to a healthy body. And so this was one of the things that when I got hormone testing, my estrogen levels were off the charts and my progesterone levels were low. Okay, and so that was making me, for example, I had to cut off my wedding band because my hands were swelling, my hair was falling out, I was super fatigued. So all of these symptoms, I gained weight like in a pretty short amount of time, a lot of weight for me in that amount of time, and my body is loving holding on to it still. And so all of those things were telltale signs that something was going on with these hormones. That all, I think, started with my adrenals. Estrogen is also important, even though sometimes we think it's a little scary because we know that we're not supposed to have too much. It seems like a troublemaker, and it is an excess, but it serves its very important purposes in the body. A key to a happy woman is hormonal balance, right? We know that. We know when our hormones are off, it really makes a difference in who we are and how we behave. So we want them balanced. We don't want to be suffering with an imbalance. So if you want to focus on a healthy reproductive system, first to make sure that you get rid of endocrine disrupting products in your home. Use the Thieves line for cleaning, or Purification or Citrus Fresh to replace your air fresheners, or lemongrass on your wool balls to toss in your dryer instead of those dryer sheets. And those things begin to eliminate the chemicals in your home that might be creating other issues. Okay, then you want to look into some hormone supporting oils. After talking to your doctor, decide if your body needs something like clary sage, which would help support your estrogen levels, or if you would need something like Progessence Plus, which would help your progesterone levels. Okay, and again, you want to talk, these are now essential oils. The beauty of essential oils is they are bioavailable. They do not add or take away from what's in your body. So clary sage should be safe for you to use either way, but Progessence Plus is not just an essential oil, it's a serum that includes progesterone from wild yams. And so it in fact will help your body make progesterone. So that's one of the important reasons why getting tested to know what your levels are is helpful before you start using the products, because you don't want too much progesterone either. You want to be able to find the right balance. And so working with a naturally minded practitioner can help you find that balance. In addition, you want to support your liver if you feel like you have high estrogen levels. The liver helps detox the body of extra estrogen. And when detoxing is not happening as it should, estrogen continues to build up and throws the entire endocrine system out of balance. Intentionally supporting the balance between your progesterone and estrogen can make a huge difference. Now, one of the ways that you can, we have several products in Young Living that help support the liver. All of the products that start with Juva, like Juva Cleanse, those are liver supporting. I also supplement with milk thistle, which is not available through Young Living, but there's a little extra supplement for you to look into. Milk thistle helps support the liver as well. So after doing a detox nutritionally and using milk thistle, I have worked to lower my estrogen levels. So that, and I'm soon getting tested to see what those look like. So I'm excited because I definitely feel tons better. Okay. All right. So we have covered, let's see what time we got. All right. We have covered the entire endocrine system. We're here at the reproductive system. So let me talk just about a few things that seem to, that come to the surface about the reproductive system that we will notice. Let's talk about periods, fertility, and menopause real quickly. Okay. And how they are affected. When your hormones are out of whack, often you're going to have extreme symptoms. You're going to have extreme menstrual symptoms or menopausal symptoms depending on your age. But it does not have to be this way. And in fact, in other parts of the world, they don't tend to have as many symptoms as we do because they're not exposed to as many harmful ingredients in their products because they have much more stringent laws protecting them against toxins. With that in mind, we're going to explore additional products to help your body work more like it's designed. Progessence Plus is one that I mentioned earlier. It was created by Dr. Dan Purser, who specializes in women's issues. And so it can help things like menstrual migraines, severe PMS, endometriosis, hot flashes, low libido, or night sweats because of low progesterone levels. Okay, healthy hormones levels are also vital if you're trying to get and stay pregnant. So having healthy progesterone levels are really helpful there, especially in your childbearing years. A lot of people, when they choose to use Progesterone Plus, if they have found that their progesterone is, hey, all the way from Mexico, I'm so glad you're joining us. They will rub Pro Plus on their ankles or their forearms each night before bed. Alternatively, Lady Sclerol and Sclerescence, which are two blends that we have, are designed to support healthy estradiol levels that often drop as we get older, especially as we go into menopause. So these hormone-supporting oils aid the ovaries and the uterus as well as your bones and joints, making them perfect oils after our childbearing years. And then lastly, just a reminder of a great oil to use to balance hormones during the month of your cycle, during the week of your cycle each month, is to grab that Dragon Time oil blend that we have. It helps ease cramping, calms the mind, and balances hormones in the most difficult part of the month, right? It's a great one for you if you're still childbearing age. It's a great one for your preteen and your teenagers as they get to those ages as well. You can add it to Epsom salts and put it in a warm bath or just slather it on as perfume. But you want to make sure that you get it on topically to help support that reproductive system and help kind of eliminate some of those difficult symptoms. Now, one of the things that we also see happen if our hormones are out of balance is our libido gets out of balance as well, right? So when our hormones wonky, then romance seems to suffer. And it's hard to feel romantic when you're fatigued and you have a headache and you're irritable all the time because your hormones are not well balanced. So some things to spice up things in the bedroom are you can pull out your oils like ylang ylang. It's a great one to diffuse or use as a perfume because it helps libido and mood, and it creates feelings of happiness and calms the mind. And so those are all great for you. You can also grab like our Sensation Massage Oil that's designed specifically, I like to call it Valentine oil. It has things like ylang ylang, which increases libido, jasmine, which encourages relaxation and feelings of happiness, and geranium, which is going to help balance healthy hormones. So those are great ones to have by your bedside to use as well. All right, guys. So we have covered quite a lot of great information about how hormones work in your body and how to keep them balanced. Remember, I am teaching, if you joined us late, I'm teaching out of this booklet called Simply Her. You can grab it. I'm going to grab the link again because I have it here. if my computer will cooperate, you can grab this at the oil supply store, and it covers a lot of the things that we've been talking about tonight, as well as some easy first steps. And it goes into gut health as well, which we don't have a time to go into tonight, but it gives you some great swaps to make. Things like fluoride actually is really harmful for your thyroid, so you can use our Thieves toothpaste and mouthwash to get rid of fluoride and help support your thyroid that way. So a lot of other great tips in addition to what we've talked about tonight in Simply Her. All right, so time for some audience participation again, okay? So we've covered the whole endocrine system. Let's take a quick review. The hypothalamus was emotions. Pituitary gland was energy. Pineal gland was sleep. Thyroid was metabolism. Adrenal glands was stress. And then we had the reproductive system, okay? So tell me which of those or which of the products that we talked about tonight are now on your wish list. So what are you adding to your wish list because of what you learned about women's wellness and the endocrine system tonight? Drop those things in the comments for me because I love to see what you guys are learning as I teach. One more quick thing, because I know a lot of you, so I can drop those in the comments for me because I want to see what you guys are learning. If you were not on earlier when we had some audience participation, I asked another really important question because I want to be able to follow through with you depending on where you are in your experiences with essential oils and Young Living. If you are already a Young Living member, then give me a heart in the comments if you haven't done that already. And if you are not yet a Young Living member, I'm so glad you're curious and learning with us. Just give me a smiley, and that way I can point you to some great resources to keep learning. Now, I know a lot of you who joined in tonight, make sure you're dropping in what is now on your wish list. A lot of you who joined in tonight are Young Living members who might be sharing Young Living to build a team. So I want you to know about a Zoom event that's coming up Thursday night. I'm dropping that event in the comments, so you can go open that up. It is all about a strategy that my team is using called Empower Groups. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, I didn't want to you guys miss out. So that's in the comments as well. So thank you guys so much for learning with me tonight about body, for being a part of my journey so that I could share with you what I've learned along the way. I'm humbled to do that and hope that it's helpful for you. And I can't wait to see what is now on your wish list. Okay, so you guys have a great night and a great rest of your week. And I hope in the next 8 and 10 years you find yourself even healthier than you do today. All right, you guys have a great night. Thanks for joining in. Bye.